Welcome to Intuitive Connections, where spirituality and psychology meet to help you be your best and brightest self. I'm your host, Victoria Shaw, and in each episode, I'll help you to awaken your own inner wisdom, step into your power, and live a more divinely inspired life. You're here to let your inner light shine. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to Intuitive Connection. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more, delve a little bit more deeply into the law of attraction and manifesting, and how we can use what we understand about the law of attraction, not just to get more of what we want, which is usually what people think of when they think about the law of attraction, but also how we can use it as almost like a self-development tool to look inside and see where our soul is still longing to grow and connect. All right, and so here we go. So I kind of got this idea because it is my understanding that due to the law of attraction, the idea that we attract into our space, into our lives, that which is a reflection of the energy that we're putting out. Because of that, what we experience in our outside world is very much of a mirror of what is going on internally. And sometimes we like what we see in the mirror, and sometimes we don't. But our external experience is always giving us some 411 about what is going on inside. Now, of course, the world is a shared experience, right? And so sometimes you're going to see things in the outside world that are really kind of not your circus and not your monkey. Other people have manifested them. But there's always a little kernel of self in there somewhere when you are participating in that shared craziness or not so craziness. Could be amazingness. Right? And so what we experience in the outside world is always a mirror of what's going on for us. And the guides say the places you want to really pay attention are the places where you feel a very strong connection, either negative, quote unquote, or positive. The areas where you feel a lot of emotional charge to what's happening outside of you, those are the times for sure that it may behoove you to look inside a little more and see, what about your experience is bringing that on. But it's always a mirror. And sometimes I even like to use this idea of the law of attraction, this idea that my life is a mirror, as almost like a little self-development tool or a little self-exploration to understand the areas in which my soul is still longing, right, to connect with me in a deeper way. Those areas where I might have a limiting belief about how the world has to work. Some places where my humanness is still a little bit struggling or hurting or confused, right? And I do this as much as I can without judgment. Because oftentimes when we look in the mirror, and let's just be honest, even when we look in the actual mirror that reflects our physical self rather than the life mirror, which reflects our energetic self, oftentimes when we look in the mirror, we do so with judgment. And we do so with this idea that this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, and I have to fix that or fix me, right, in order to see what I like in my reflection. And that is not what I'm talking about today. When you look down from a soul's perspective, right, there's no judgment. There's no value at all. Or the guides say, they actually say that, there's no value at all. You may look at how certain choices are more expeditious than others. You may look at alignment, resonance, how things line up. You may look, the guides say, in terms of your soul's task and whether you are aligning with that. But you don't often look at things good or bad, black or white, right or wrong, the way that we often do from our human mind, okay, from the ego. Nothing wrong with that, but it is that in and of itself is a limiting way to look at the mirror of self that is your life. Remember, too, that when you come into a body, your spirit, your soul has a pretty good idea of how things are going to play out. You have free will. So we don't know everything, but we have a general idea of where you're going to learn those hard lessons, where you're going to get those limiting beliefs, where you're going to get those pains, and how your personality is going to develop while in human form.
You also come in, right, with some strengths, with some special gifts, with some certain perspectives that your soul wants to express and explore through this body, through this incarnation. So you got that going for you too. And it's the conglomerate of those things that create your life and the course of your life. And your soul has an idea of how that's going to go before you hop in. So what that really means is that when we're thinking about the law of attraction, yes, you are powerful. Yes, you can create anything. And I invite you to go for it. But also understand that there's another higher plan that your soul's involved in. And when you create from there, it's going to be a lot more satisfying. This also means the guides say that when we look at the mirror of our life with judgment, we are misunderstanding the entire process. We're getting it wrong. We're saying that the goal of life is to do it right, be good, be this, be that. And the goal is simply, they say, self-expression. Self-expression. And what is the word that they're trying to give me? Let me see if I can tune on in. Self-determination. Self-exploration. I'm trying. I don't think any of these are the one. I am there now. They say self-knowledge, self-knowing. So we come into this body to know our higher self better through understanding in this human illusion, delusion, confusion, what it is not. And when we find those threads of our true self while in human form, that is where the magic happens. And the guides say more of you who are listening to this show, to this podcast, to podcasts like this, more of you, and what the heck, the ones who are listening to this show, because you guys are awesome. And I should tell you that more often. What the guides say is that many of you are in a place now where you're learning very much to flow with more and more the process of life, to bring more joy into the world, to bring more of your spiritual gifts into the world. So when you look in the mirror, you will start to really see yourself, your higher self, right? Truly, clearly, cleanly, without distortion, without illusion. You will start to, what you see in the mirror will be a beautiful reflection back of who and what you really are. And that is some cool, cool stuff. Oh my God. Just that image makes my heart sing. Guides say soul shine. So I'm going to go with that one. It makes my soul shine, my soul sing. There we go. But again, oftentimes, because we have a human mind and because we have this judgment, we are always looking, is this good or bad, right or wrong? And then we personalize that and we say, something's wrong with me. The guides say when you look in that mirror, right? And the mirror, again, if I haven't explained this clearly enough, is your life. It's what's happening in the now, right? Try to look at it as much as possible without judgment, without value. Does this mean that you can't like certain things? Oh no, absolutely not. I spend a lot of time really loving many of the things I created. I spend a lot of time on that. I even spend time loving this podcast, which I've created in the more traditional sense, right? I listen to my own episodes all the time because they bring me joy to see what this vessel Victoria is creating today. It really, 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 really makes me happy. And I also enjoy many facets of my life, the sunsets that I get to see nowadays from my balcony. I love the sheets on my bed. Just all of the harmony and beautiful things that I've drawn into my life. I enjoy them. I appreciate them. I am grateful for them. I honor them. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to honor the things that don't feel so good that have been attracted into my life, but I do my darndest to honor those too because I know they're also here to serve me and I can love them too. I think the hardest part about looking in that mirror of life is that tendency to say when something goes quote unquote wrong or is not what we wanted, we can be really hard on ourselves. We can feel like we must have done something wrong. And there's a lot of spiritual teachings around that and religious teachings around that, right? There are some teachings, for example, in the Christian religions. And I think this is not necessarily mainstream, but it's out there, right? When people are ill, a lot of people have conditioning around this idea if I'm sick, I've done something, it's a sin, it's a punishment. And I think a lot of us have that going around in our mind too when something doesn't happen the way that we want it to in the outside world, we think, again, what have I done wrong? And a lot of us get that condition from childhood too, right? Because, parents will say to us, sometimes in a loving, kind way, sometimes in a little more intentionally shaming, when we take an action and we don't like the result. The first thing they're going to say is, see what you got yourself into? How do you like that consequence, young lady, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we get our conditioning that way too. And that one was a little triggery for me, so I'm going to take a breath. Right? But what your guides want you to know right now is that every step you take in life is golden. Even the ones that you take a step and you find yourself, floating down, or maybe not floating down the cliff, right? Every step is divine. And the goal of life is to just keep moving forward and do so with as much love, joy, inspiration, and awareness as possible. That's really all you're being called to do. And life will show you, for sure, where you might have been confused or deluded or, all those good things. But that is okay. That is what she is here to do. She's not judging you when she doesn't flow the way your small mind thinks she should. Oftentimes, she's stretching you, she's growing you, and she's always, always, always loving you. Life is always loving you, even when it doesn't feel so loving or lovely. So, in concrete terms, I'm going to ask the guides, what does this even mean? All right, my life is a mirror. It's telling me about my internal state. It's telling me about my beliefs. It's telling me about what's going on inside. How do I work with that? How do I navigate that? And why are we even bothering to talk about it? Well, what the guides say is that when you understand how life works, then you become a powerful co-creator in that process of living. And they say, very most importantly, you become that powerful co-creator when you understand the process, and then you love yourself through it. If you understand the process and then you use it to judge, you are not going to get all the way there. But when you understand the process and you love yourself through it, and you understand that every step you take in life is a great co-creation with your highest and truest self, with the universe, with God, with all that is. When you understand that you are an emanation of all of that. So it's not about, hey, God, please make this happen for me, as if that's something separate from you. No, you understand we are totally connected. I am an expression of that. And it's almost like learning to calibrate this little human part of you with your God self. And as we do that more and more, as we have those two things calibrate, they line up more and more. That, to me, is what healing and growth is all about. And that is, I believe, part and parcel what a lot of us are here to do in our bodies right now, right? We are here to awaken our God self while in human form. I recently taught a class on energy healing, and what was given to me, instead of the word healing, and I have no problem with that word, and I will probably use it again, but what was given to me was recalibration, rebalancing, harmonization, right? Because healing has this idea that we need to fix something. So we look in the mirror of our lives and we see something we don't like, and we have to fix it. We have to heal it. We have to, oh my God, solve this problem so we can have what we want. And you can have what you want. That's not a problem. You're actually getting what you want all the time. You just don't always know what you're putting out there and telling the universe. But you're always getting it. But you're not a problem to be solved, because you are perfect just as you are. And every misstep, every confusion is exactly where your soul wants to be until, and get this, it doesn't need to be there anymore. And when we can love all these parts of ourselves and understand that they're all part of the human journey, they're all part of that human puzzle that we have set up for ourselves, and that by seeing it, acknowledging it, loving it, accepting it, and then flowing in a different direction, or flowing through it, or expanding it, or releasing it, we can let that go and flow in even a higher energy and even more of what our soul wants to express and sing through us. When we look at it that way, then we can look at that mirror of our life and say, I don't really like that little part, or, that little hair is out of place. Let me see how I can, rejigger things and just smooth that down, because isn't it prettier that way? We don't have to look at it and say, oh my God, my hair is so dumb and I'm like the worst hair cutter and I have the worst hair. No, 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 no. It's simply about looking in that reflection, looking in that mirror, looking at what's going on in our external life and using it to learn more about how our soul would like to grow today, right? That's it. And if you're in this body right now and you are on that growth journey, which I believe many of us are, that journey of growth, expansion, learning, developing. And again, not because there was anything wrong with you to begin with, but simply because your soul wants to expand and experience more. And you've chosen this human vessel as one way to do that. When we are on that growth journey, every step that we take becomes an adventure. It becomes a miracle. It becomes a moment when the angels sing. Your human self might not always feel that way. Mine doesn't, and I honor yours and mine when it does not. But please know that that mirror of life, right? The experiences in that outside world, just like your experience of them, are always here to support you, to teach you, to hold you, and to show you very potently and powerfully what is going on inside of you and what is ready to move, grow, release, and expand. And when you look at it that way, my friends, then life becomes an amazing journey where you, the painter, have the opportunity to co-create the most beautiful, beautiful creation that your soul, that your higher self could have ever imagined. The paintbrush and the palette are now in your hands. Enjoy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you found joy, strength, inspiration, and clarity from today's episode. If you'd like to learn more and connect with an amazing group of like-minded souls, please join us over on Facebook in the Intuitive Connection Community Facebook group, where we explore these topics in deeper detail, have additional live teachings, and host Facebook Lives with our amazing guests. I hope to see you there. And of course, if you want to learn more about me or the work that I do, please check out my webpage, victoriashawintuitive.com. Thank you so much again, and namaste.